Morning, everyone. Today's learning is dedicated in memory of Shmuel ben Yosef Leib Galinsky, Dvorah bas Eliyahu Marshall, Rachel bas Meir Maya, Shaul ben Yeshua Mordechai Nemtsov, Shoshana bas Chana Hesselberg, and Rivka bas Avram Graham, as well as Leah bas Bible, Rav Yaakov Tzvi ben David Aryeh, Sivi bas Mordechai, Avram ben David Slavin, Shom ben Yisrael Morris, Baruch Vegel bas Reuven Baruch, Shalom ben Elia Lee, Beina bas Five, From Shoshana bas Yaakov, Shmuel Kela Bela bas Henach Yom Yochir ben Moshe Eliezer, Sam Alka bas Binyamin. Good morning, everyone. Just to reassure you in these troubling times that we will be continuing our service as usual, even tomorrow, despite the holiday season. We were discussing yesterday the fascinating concept as to the categorizing of the mitzvot, the commandments that we have. So most of the commandments, we said, could fall into one of three categories. The first category is you had your mishpatim, things that we do which are rational, logical. We can understand, or we think we understand them. For example, the interpersonal laws that we have, the social justice laws that we have, right? Don't steal, don't kill, right? Setting up a judicial system, otherwise man would eat man. So that's the first category that we mentioned. Then we mentioned a second category, which is the chukim, popularly translated or mistranslated as statutes. And the idea that we would consider of a statute is something that's not necessarily has any logic or rationale. That is not necessarily the case. Firstly, we just say good morning to everyone. I know that everyone is sending good morning wishes. Good morning, Carol. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Caroline. Good morning, Peter again. Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Harry. Good morning, David. And we wish everyone well. It should be a happier, healthier new secular year for everyone. I'm aware of several people which are unwell from COVID and in our community, and we wish them well amongst all the others that are unwell in the current climate. So let's go back. Let's focus our minds just for a few minutes, and we want to share in literally a few minutes a very, very profound idea. So chukim are popularly translated as statutes, and it's seen to be as something which is like a red heifer, sprinkling ashes on a person who is impure, and as a result of purifying the person who purifies the other person through sprinkling the ashes, the Kohen, he becomes impure. So the purifier becomes impure, which is completely irrational. And that is the classic chayk, the classic statute, something that is beyond human comprehension. But in fact, and every chayk we understand that we do not understand it. But of course, there is a logic and rationale, but it's of an infinite being, and therefore we can't understand it. However, there is a different take on chukim, on statutes completely, and that is something that is written by Maimonides, and Rabbi Sachs quotes it. Let me just read it to you. Rambam rightly there are sometimes thought as the statutes as commands that have no reason. Maimonides, Rambam rightly dismisses this idea. Essentially, he says, chukim are laws embedded in nature, and by keeping them, we respect integrity of the natural world. So, he says, we do not combine animal wool with vegetable linen, textiles, right? Wool and linen are forbidden. But why are they forbidden? So Maimonides would suggest because we're trying to keep the natural order of the world. And the natural order of the world would be that something that is from an animal does not mix with something that is from the foliage of the world. Or mixed animal life, for example, we are not meant to do with animal death. In other words, animal life would be milk, mixing with animal death, which is meat. Another fascinating insight by Maimonides, the idea that we are trying to allow and to maintain the natural world in its natural order without mixing things, and therefore crossbreeding and hybrid is all part of the same story. Behind these, he suggests, is the idea that God is the creator of biodiversity rather than hybrid uniformity. Okay, so by observing them, we require the habits of treating animals with kindness and the environment with care. So it reflects the Judaism's ecological approach to the world, which we've already touched upon. The third cluster of commands, and we'll come back to all of this in a minute, is known as edut, which are testimonies. Edut means to give testimony in Judaism. What are they? So, for example, when it comes to Pesach, eating matzah, when it comes to Sukkot, sitting in a sukkah, they are the cluster of mitzvot which are experiences, part of our history that we as a nation have lived through. And the idea is that we relive and reenact the period in history which occurred. So, for example, we eat matzah. Why do we eat matzah? Right? The Jews went out of Egypt over 3,000 years ago. But the idea is that in each generation we relive and tap into the spiritual energy, not of the Egyptian experience per se, but of the idea of liberating ourselves. So therefore we liberate and free ourselves. We understand what it means servitude, what it means freedom, what's the purpose of freedom. So therefore we tap in to that spiritual energy in each festival so that we are able to experience it and to internalize and integrate it as a part of our memory. So moving from history to memory, that is the idea of the edut, the testimonies. So there is another idea I want to share with you, and I'm writing about this at the moment, and that is as follows. There are 248 positive commandments. Okay, 248 positive commandments. How many limbs are there in the body? There are 248 limbs in the human body, and therefore the symbolism is that we are meant to serve God with all our bodily parts, with the totality of our being. There are two aspects to a human being. There is the soul and there is the body. Now, the soul, if we imagine something try to imagine something spiritual, it doesn't have any form, right? It's something lofty, things that have form are things that are tangible, things that are physical. If something is not tangible, then it doesn't need to have form or shape or be limited, right? So that is the soul. So the soul, which is limitless in a sense, without form, is something which is then put into a physical body. Now, the physical body is the exact opposite of the soul, right? It's the odd couple. What do I mean? Think about the human body. It is made up, the human anatomy is made up of different parts of the anatomy, different bodily parts. And what the cohesiveness and the gel which holds together the body is life, in essence, the soul. As soon as the soul departs, the body starts to disintegrate and deteriorate. So therefore, you have these seeming opposites, one which is very specific, it's broken down into parts, into specific pieces, right? That is the body. It's very specific, which has commands. We are commanded to do mitzvot, and each mitzvah corresponds to a different part of the body. And you have the soul, which is as it were channeled into the body, and it is this limitless force, spiritual force in the world. If you take something which doesn't have shape or form, then it is inspirational, it is uplifting, it is light, but it doesn't necessarily concretize, it doesn't necessarily stay for very long. Think about the inspirational moments in our lives. They come, they go. It could be the most majestic piece of music, art, whatever we've seen. It comes, it goes. But something that is more earthly, something that is more grounded, is something that will stay with us because it is something with shape and form. And therefore, that is the beautiful dichotomy within each and every one of us. On the one hand, we are the physicality. The other hand, we have the spirituality. Spirituality represents the inspiration, the lofty ideas, the blue sky thinking. The physical is something which is very pragmatic, something very real. We have commands that we are meant to do. If we just didn't have a spirit, we didn't have a soul inside us, the essence of us, besides the fact that we couldn't live, but our bodies would just go through the motions of doing things. Mitzvot would become mechanical. It wouldn't have any transformative impact, right? If we just do things without any soul, it becomes soulless. It becomes rather dry, right? We become bored with it. And therefore, we have this synthesis in each and every one of us of body and soul, this, as it were, holy alliance, I hope, where we are able to synthesize a physical and a spiritual, and we are able to concretize that, those lofty spirit inside us, so and make it something that is very, very real. And therefore, that is what we are meant to achieve through the mitzvot. We elevate our being, we elevate everything around us. And we do that through being able to internalize and to channel the creative juices and forces inside us that come from the soul into something which is physical, which is real in the world. So that is the purpose of life. So the challenges, of course, in 2021, as we head towards it, everyone, I presume, is staying up tonight, right? Must stay up tonight. Can't go out tonight, but can stay up to see the fireworks wherever they are. The idea is that we have moments when we are full, light bulb moments, full of vitality and spirituality and energy and inspiration. What happens with those moments? Often, if we do not internalize, if we do not find a way to make those, to take that energy and to utilize and channel it in something real, right? Then it comes and it goes very late, very quickly. It's transient. But if it is that we are able to take that blue sky thinking, we're able to make it something real, then it is something that will propel us forwards, will grow in the quality and quantity of the mitzvot, the performance of good deeds, and the way that we live our lives. So that is my passing thought for 2020, the last one of the day. And we carry on now with the Psalm 23. Remember to dip the apple in the honey. I'm joking. Okay. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even as I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. We continue now with the memorial prayer, followed by the Refuah Shlema prayer. Adon Olamim Zecho Es Nishmois Shmo Ben Yosef Leib Galinsky Devora Bas Eliyahu Marshall Rachabad Rus Bas Maya Shal Yeshua Ben Mordechai Shal Ben Yeshua Mordechai Nemtsov Shoshana Bas Chana Hesselberg Leah Bas Bible Rav Yaakov Zwiven Ovid Aryeh Tzvivia Bas Mordechai from Ben David Slavin Shalom Ben Yisrael Moritz Per Fegel Bas Reuven Baruch Shalom Ben Elili Ben Bas Bible from Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel Kayla Bela Bas Henach Bas Henach Yemyo Yechiel Ben Moshe Eliezer Sarah Malka Bas Binyamin Shalach Oliolamam Berkan Aiden Taimanu Chasam Lachin Balarachamim Yasti Ben Beseisa Kana Pablolamim Yetzavas Haim Shmasamana Nachlasam Yanuchu Bishlamish Kavam Venamar Amen. Wishing each and every one of you, my dear friends, that have kept me going, kept me growing through these challenging times. It is challenging times, and there is a lot going on, as you can imagine, but there is also a lot of good stuff going on. And firstly, you know, the fact that we are still learning together and accomplishing and achieving each day new wisdom, new insights into life, I think is phenomenal and fantastic, and is one of the outgrowths of the pandemic. And secondly, thank God we are looking forward to 2021 with a vaccine. Please God for all of us, and an end to this pandemic, and many exciting new initiatives and programs. I've just got confirmation that Rabbi Haya of the Simon Wiesenthal Center fame has kindly agreed to be interviewed by me. So it's very, very exciting. And the numerous other programs that we are lining up for you. So don't go away. We are so excited, Gila and I, to a wonderful 2021. We've got to keep safe. We've got to keep well. We've got to keep davening. There are so many people that need a refuah shalema, which we're going to do in a minute. But I can't help. I did mention it on Facebook. But I was overwhelmed with very emotional yesterday when I saw the video of Jonathan Pollard. You should watch it. Jonathan Pollard coming down the steps of the airplane, and Benjamin Netanyahu steps towards him to greet him, and he says, and this is to the Prime Minister of Israel, he says, he points a finger at him and says, wait. And he bends down then, he kisses the ground, he stands up and he makes the blessing, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kiyimanu v'giyanu lazman hazeh. Thanking God for the fact that he and his wife, who's also not well, she should have refuah shalema, have reached this milestone, this step after 35 years of being able to come to the land of Israel and having that appreciation and awareness. And, you know, he's somebody who divides opinion, and no question, he, of course, was found guilty and he had to serve time. And when nobody's being apologetic for that, but having served his time, I'm delighted for him in a personal capacity that he is now able, you know, to retire and to live in Israel with his wife, having suffered so much for so long. We wish them both well. And of course, I will try to interview Jonathan Pollard. I am trying, if anyone has any connections. In the meantime, we'll make a refuah shalema and we'll continue. Misha Berach Avosenu Avram Yisrael Yaakov Moshe Aaron David Shlomo Yivarech Rapha Sachelim. Ba'avosh anu mispalim ba'avoram b'schazak HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachem Aleihem Lachem Alefosam Yishlach Lehem Refuah Shalem Shemayim V'lechol Avim B'soch Shachar Yisrael Refuah Sanefesh Refuah Sakuf Hash Abagala V'zman Karev V'nomar Amen. Look after yourselves. Keep safe. Keep well. And I look forward to seeing you in the next secular year. That's tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Be well.